Welcome to The Choice to Grow. I'm Scott Schwenk. Through these dialogues, we'll explore fresh perspectives and discover practical tools for navigating a thriving life that adds value wherever we are. I'll introduce you to innovators and creators from across our world who embody what it means to cultivate growing as a way of life. Let's prepare together. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath briefly as you soften your shoulders and soften the soles of your feet and palms of your hands. Then exhale like you're releasing tension and setting down a heavy burden from every cell. Now let's dive in. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to The Choice to Grow. I am delighted to share one of my favorite people in life who I've been getting to know very, very deeply over 10 years. I first met Venita Ramirez when I was in a deep, deep period of questioning, and there have been many in my life. And she ended up scoring an adult ego inventory. I know that sounds like a lot of words, but it's really this fascinating way to get a sense of where we've developed to, where we might struggle and put some effort into cleaning up in ways that are appropriate to us, and where our gifts are up ahead of our current center of gravity that we can learn from, benefit from, for the benefit of everyone involved. And I'll tell you a little bit about Venita's background. So she holds a graduate degree in psychology. She has 40 years of experience in counseling and facilitating individuals and groups with regards to relationships, conscious breath, subtle energy, and awareness practices. From the mid-'80s through the mid-'90s, she trained extensively in somatic approaches. And I just want to remind us, as this is a newer podcast, somatic means of or pertaining to the body. We're not just telling stories in somatic approaches. We're involved in what's happening in the body and what's happening with the breath and how it plays out in our conduct with each other. So from this time, the mid-'80s through the '90s, training extensively in somatic approaches to awareness and healing with teachers Bennet Wong, MD, and Jock McKeen, MD, in British Columbia, Canada. During that time, she also attended meditation and chanting practice in a tantric tradition known as Siddha Yoga meditation. Her extensive study of spiritual and Eastern philosophies include shamanism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, forms of Tantra, and the extraordinary work of Ken Wilber's integral theory and Daniel P. Brown from Harvard's stages of meditation. In 2006, Venita joined Terri O'Fallon and Geoff Fitch at an extraordinary groundbreaking program, Pacific Integral's Generating Transformative Change. Leading cohorts, co-designing and co-leading 9-month programs, retreats in the US, Australia, and Ethiopia. She assisted Terri's research on later stages of adult development and was the first group of trained scorers for the stages assessment. Now, this is a really big deal. People who are learning this now spend an entire year learning how to assess, based on what comes out of somebody's pen or keyboard, answers to questions like family is, my mother, when they left me, and things like this that get us a real clear center of gravity on how a person is taking perspective or experiencing their moments, not just when things are going well, but across all areas of life. So to be a scorer in one of the first, very, very powerful training that she brings to everything she does. And since 2016, Venita's focused her coaching practice on supporting people like me who are at later stages of awareness and looking to grow. Her spiritual practices lean towards Tibetan Buddhism now, and she's especially interested in the subtle appearances that occur in late-stage individuals through the clarity, bliss, and stillness of boundless awareness. Let's just take a moment, and even if that sounds far away, the clarity, bliss, and stillness of boundless awareness. So without further ado, let me say a few more words about my experience. I've been coaching deeply with Venita for once a week, sometimes twice a week, for over 10 years. Through the death of my mother, the loss of my father, the loss of my dear spiritual teacher and friend, Sally Kempton, through many ups and downs in life. And I cannot tell you how extraordinary this has been for myself and others, for me to have this regular engagement, especially when things are going well. So many of us reach out for inner work when we're in a disturbance or hit a rocky bottom of some sort. This podcast, in no small part, is to encourage us to continue to choose to grow no matter what, especially when things are going well, and for much more than our own sake. So, with all the love in my heart and so much respect, welcome to you, Venita Ramirez.
Thank you so much, Scott. I so appreciate what a beautiful introduction you gave me. I'm so glad to be here with you. Yeah.
So, you've got an extraordinary body of writing. You have the ability to write like an academic, but make it so relatable and translatable. And I've been referring over and over again to your papers, one that you co-wrote where you were the lead on causal leadership. Let's start with leadership. So those terms, causal and leadership, that might be brand new to a lot of folks. What is the possibility, and why is this so valuable to organizations and individuals to get involved with?
That's a good question. I mean, causal really came out of, I think, the Hindu tradition, one of the Hindu traditions, right? We got the concrete body, subtle body, and then the causal awareness. Causal awareness is like the formless awareness, the absolute. And through that, clarity comes through that. The knowing of what to do in each moment arises, and there's a flow. And so if we can tap in, as we tap into that formless awareness, it's actually full of all kinds of information that can come through. And as a leader, that's priceless, to be able to let go of all of our conditioning, all of our beliefs, all of our preconceptions, completely rest in stillness and clarity, and listen deeply. And in each moment, whatever is needed arises and can be applied. So that's what causal leadership in a nutshell is.
Just the words are so touching to me. I hope they are to you as a listener. These possibilities of whether we consider ourselves a leader or somebody simply living our best life and doing our best with the people around us, to be able to actually not have to depend on ordinary historic thinking to know how to meet a moment in the best way for everyone involved.
Yeah. And that's not easy. I mean, it takes a lot of meditation practice. It takes clearing the psychological trauma, the different types of things that happens to everybody really in our childhood, that tends to muddy the waters of our consciousness, right? Because then we get fixated on our pain or on projecting onto somebody else what we think they're doing, and then we hurt ourselves with that. And most of the time, that's not even what's going on. So, learning to clear all of that out of the way is really not that easy of a task. And you also have to be able to release thoughts. You have to be able to empty the mind in order to, again, have that clear field that from which the knowing arises, clear knowing, wisdom. Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of the number of people I've met in when we've had cohorts together that were training and studying together, practicing together, of people who are already established in positions that other people view as leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and yet show up at the work and grow tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel like is the secret sauce when the work is going well? What is it that happens between a facilitator and a learner when it's really going well that expedites it? It's not just getting caught in learning information in my mind.
No, it's not. Well, I use breath a lot, as you know. And I know that you do too in your work. And the breath actually helps clear, it helps relax and relieve tension through the body, because held tension is part of the muddying of the waters. Held tension in the body, like any kind of pain that results in pain, or any kind of tightness in the muscles, which most people have, we all have, prevents that clarity from coming through, right? And so one of the most important things is to relax through the body. And I know that you do that a lot with people that you work with. Relax, 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 relax. And then relax all the way up through the throat and the neck. Relax all the way up through the head and the temples. Relax through the eyes and the sinuses. Relax to the top of the head. Relax all the way down. A lot of people don't relax in their lower body. Relax down through your
Will
hips.
you just actually in real time take us through however far it goes, just like a beginning practice with this that we could actually take on for ourselves after
Yeah,
this?
sure.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it? Let's do it together. I'll do it with you. And
Yes,
maybe
yes, yes. I'll be
go on.
the dummy.
Okay, sounds good. All
The
right.
crash
So,
test dummy. Okay.
yeah, let's do it. So, if you put your attention in, let's start with the abdomen.
Okay.
So, that's the low part of the torso. And just focus there for a moment and just notice what you notice. So, some people notice like it's dark in there, or it's tight, or they can't feel anything, right? Numb even.
Mhm.
And but some people are really alive there, and they can feel warmth and tingling and vibration. So just notice what you notice. There's no wrong way to be.
There's
And
a
then,
subtle vibration. There's a subtle vibration and a tiny layer of tension that seems like it's probably like habitual and has to do with being able to stand up and sit down, like muscularly.
okay, great example. All right, so in that layer of tension, a tiny layer of tension or subtle layer of tension, you want to just focus there. So any place you have tension or pain, focus there, and then breathe gently into that spot. And then as you exhale, just release the tension if you can, or intend to release it, even if it doesn't release. Sometimes it's just tiny little bits make a big difference. You just release it. You
How do
just
I
start.
know if I'm releasing it or trying to push it away?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Tell me. Can you tell?
I can tell in me. Let's see. Let the words come. Well, I've got this imagery of like holding any of these areas, like holding a baby or a small animal,
Yeah.
like who has a cold or a flu. I'm going to hold it closely, but not too tightly. And I'm not having an idea about how quickly the tension should change. There's some sort of a trust, and then I know I'm not. It seems like I'm not pushing anything away.
Good. I like that. I like that because you're fixing into the Buddhist idea of no, not avoiding and not grasping, no grab and no avoidance. So what we want to do is just be and just let go, just release. You don't have to try very hard. You just intend and then relax. That's all. And then beautiful. And then from there, you start to move into your hips, let's say the pelvis, lower down the root, hips, pelvis.
Mm.
Yeah. Your seat. Yeah. Down through your thighs and then lower down through your legs. And then relax your knees. So you're just doing sort of a whole body relaxation and a
And then if
scans.
I find an area that's got something going on, I linger longer.
Yeah. That's helpful. Yeah, if you can do that. So something people hold tension in their joints a lot. So your knees, hips, ankles, elbows are another one. People forget to relax those.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just go all the way down to your feet, soles of your feet. And I think it's important to feel your connection with the ground, because what we're doing is we're eventually going to just go way out as far as we can go in our awareness, into boundlessness even. So if we're going into boundlessness, it's important to be grounded through the body. Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Are there other phrases or words that point at grounding and what the result of grounding is for a person?
That's a good question. I mean, let's talk about it together because you know a lot of stuff too. I
Yeah.
want this to be a conversation.
Yeah.
So, grounding, what's another one for you?
For me, it's like the net effect. I can feel my whole body from head to toe. And
Mhm.
if I can feel my whole body from head to toe, really, then I know I'm more present and available to being guided from infinite wisdom streams.
Beautiful. I love that. I mean, we're talking about being embodied, right?
Yeah.
Like there, because we everybody knows people who are like meditators and they're kind of out in the clouds and they're not really, they just seem like they're not really connected to themselves very much or to the world. And there's something about that that doesn't quite, it's not doesn't quite land. It's not really right. We know there's something missing there. And so what that is like embodiment really, and dealing with all the shadow material, all the trauma and types of things that come through being human as we grow up. It's very
Hmm.
important to work with that.
There are some of our colleagues, some of them are really prominent in these communities that we're knowing about, like the integral community and so on, who are talking about something like the fourth turning of Buddhism or some new turning of how awareness practices and embodiment practices are flowing. From my seat, it seems like certain portions of the world or certain cultures were really good at recognizing the made up nature of our historical sense of self and seeing through that into what we could call emptiness, a vast, pregnant emptiness. And then other groups seem to be, particularly in the advent of psychology in the last 100 years, really good at dealing with this life, attachment wounding, challenges with our parents or primary caregivers that keep influencing how we date or marry or do
Yeah.
anything. And it seems like this new turning, regardless of whether it's related to a Buddhist or some other ist, is like this coming together of multiple wisdom streams that are to do with having a body as well as what transcends the body. What are your feelings about that in your own observation of people?
That's so important. Yeah, I mean, that's integration. It's like finally happening, right? Because yeah, as you know, so many years, even in our own lifetime, I mean, 20 years ago, people weren't really talking about somatics that much or the body or putting psychology and spirituality together. They were like two separate realms, right? So bringing it all together I think, it's really a beautiful service to humanity right now. Absolutely.
One of my teachers has said many times, she said, the mind learns by taking things apart and the heart learns by putting them together. And what I hear in what you're saying is a heart based, not a hallmark based, but heart based, truly
Mhm.
heart based orientation to life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and it's taking in everything all at once too, right? So there's a holistic quality to it. So like for example, my philosophy, my experience actually is one of being this is really hard to put into words, but there's one awareness that pervades all, and it pervades me and you and everything. And we are that awareness. Right? And so, what keeps us from that awareness is separation, sin, and the pulling ourselves in and around pain, right? Or a judgment. And if we can actually feel the pain and release the judgments, then this wholeness is always already there. That awareness that pervades all is always already there. And so it's our job, if we want to experience that oneness with that awareness that we are that, it's our job to heal, to be present to this pain, to this trauma, to whatever's here, or anything that we're pushing away, anything we're grasping, let it go, and just allow ourselves to know that we are one with that awareness that pervades all, and that we are that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting there means feeling everything. It means, right? It means, and that's through the body. You can't feel through your mind, in the same way that you feel through the body. And so, to me, wholeness comes through just feeling and being present to whatever's here, not pushing anything away. Yeah.
Couple of things that light up about that. One, for you who are listening, when we talk about feeling everything at once, we don't mean necessarily handling all the tension and trauma of your life in one 20-minute sit or one 1 hour session with a facilitator. But we're moving in the direction of being able to feel more things at the same time. How many of us can focus on one task at a time, but not necessarily two or three? Like, can I be aware of the softening of the soles of my feet while I'm in a difficult engagement with people who are trying to defraud my insurance company? This is a real experience. Can I really be softening my body and open to the wisdom stream while hearing outrageous things being spoken to me and not take the bait? So where we're going with all this is the ability, I guess, maybe to be like a hummingbird. It's the only creature I know of that can move in all directions in the air, except it can't walk, but it can fly in all directions. To be able to move more nimbly in all directions, especially, in our closest relationships or whatever, like how many of us, I need to hear this certain piece of music to feel at peace, or I can't, or I need to eat this certain food, or I need to do this certain thing. What happens when we're free from a lot of this and we know it and we can trust ourselves to confront unfamiliar situations and choose to grow and choose to feel resourced? That's where all this is going.
Yes, very nice. I love that. That's right. And there's the physical body where you're feeling whatever you've avoided throughout your lifetime. I need to feel this. You might need support for that because it's not always easy to feel it, right? So there's the physical body, and then we have that subtle body. And the subtle body is another body that most of us many people don't realize they have, but some people do. And it usually goes out at least a few feet as you're walking around, but it's elastic. So it can actually expand out into infinity, and it can be pulled back into your body real tightly. And in that subtle body, there's other types of tensions. And a lot of times it's relational tensions because it's with people out there somewhere, and you can feel it in here. Or some people actually gather up other people's emotions in their own subtle energy field, right? And then they're like, why do I feel this way all of a sudden? Oh, they don't realize it was because they just had lunch with somebody who was, basically venting about their relationship or something and had a lot of anger going on or something like that. So now they feel this. So it's really also important to learn to clear the subtle energy field, right? And again, that you clear the physical as much as you can, you clear the subtle as much as you can. That just opens everything up. And then that's when you can start to contact this like really amazing, mysterious, like wisdom, intelligence, love that you were pointing to earlier. Yeah.
I've noticed that in the stronger experiences of contacting the stream of wisdom, love, and timeless, boundless awareness, that there are times when it feels so good that I just don't want to do anything in the concrete world,
Yeah.
and have maybe even avoided certain things. Is this a common happening for people that you've noticed?
I think it can be. Yeah, there's certain phases we go through where like, oh, this is all new. Like, oh my gosh, it's a new, I was like, there's all of this awe and wonder and amazing like experience that we're having, right? So people just want to hang out there for a while. And that's okay for a while. But eventually you start to integrate in how to operate in the world as a human. That's very important too, right? How to
Yeah.
walk around with this awareness and still function really well. It's possible. Some people are really afraid of growing. They're afraid of letting go of the old self because, like, how will I function? Or what if I let go of my thoughts? Am I going to be able to, hold a job or something like that? But
Yeah.
there's a different there's something else that comes online when you let go of this, the cerebral kind of focus or the intellectual focus. What comes online is clear awareness, like big awareness that is, it perceives way faster than the intellect. And so what you were saying earlier, it's just like it's immediate. Like you just stay with it, and you're nimble, like the hummingbird.
And you just know.
You just know what to do. You don't even have to think about it. It just
And
comes
you
to
know
you.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's no doubt. It's just like, and then it works out, right? Doesn't it? It's like it's
Yeah.
so smooth, and it's like, okay, well that verifies that the knowing was right, right?
Yeah.
And then you can live that way. You can live from that place. It's really magical. It's
I mean,
amazing.
it seems like what's happening more and more in places where this kind of work is happening is it's being presented like the demystification of awakening, of what we
Yeah,
called awakening. What we projected was only available to a rare few people. We're understanding more and more that moving into basic or even moderate awakening is like available to everybody when we're choosing to grow.
absolutely right. It is available to everybody. And it's not, again, what we have to do though is to do our work, do our inner work, right? Is to heal the pain that's in the way. The pain gets us all caught up in it, right? And then we can't perceive these more subtle knowings, subtle information. We can't perceive it. So
Hmm.
deal that work, then work with the subtle energy field, ideally. And then boom, it's just like, wow, everything is just so clear. And bliss, right? And the stillness is there, or the emptiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's
I've
free.
been brought through a number of different ways to work with or spot subtle impressions, or what's often, we haven't used the word other than my bio intro with you, shadow. Suddenly, when we start talking about things like shadow, people can start to think, oh, I've got to know the exact circumstance when this happened to me. And I've found in my work with you over the years, even though I've tried some of those approaches and even studied them deeply, they put me in my head and not into the position to actually meet, feel fully, and release the thing without having to know exactly when it happened.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is helpful when you're, you mentioned the stages of development. So at sort of more common stages of development, I would say it can be useful, especially when you're first starting your psychology, psychological process. Uh, and learning, it's helpful to know, oh, it feels like I feel 5 right now when I'm having this feeling, and so let's go back and like explore that and what happened then. That's really useful at that time. But I think as you get later in your awareness and you're able to perceive the subtle energy field, then yes, it's way faster and less intellectual. It's like you just perceive it directly through the field. You immediately know, oh, that was that wound, that was that pain, or maybe it won't even come to you like that, and it just releases, right?
Hmm.
All you have to do is just go right to that tension in the subtle field. A lot of times it's relational conflict, and you just don't think about you. You can't go up here. If you go up here, it's gonna like uh, distort it into kind of your own individual human idea of what it is, your own projection about what this thing is. But if you can let the mind go and just directly perceive through the energy field this sensation of conflict and just feel it without thought and stay there and not avoid it, within minutes, within seconds even, it'll just like open up, show you the lesson, and then it's cleared. It's amazing. So yeah, it's way faster to do that. You don't reify the situation, and then you're just free from it from then on.
Reify is a word that shows up in the conversations with a lot of our colleagues and friends. And just for those of you who are new to that word, it means to basically confirmation bias. It's like reinforcing a belief that actually reduces energy and aliveness. It's
Mhm.
that kind of, but we can also reify things that are wonderful. Typically, we mean to talk about it in terms of these subtle impressions where, you know, well, here's an example of something I've worked with Venita about for years is opening up to being in an intimate romantic partnership. And there have been times even recently where I'm like, for crying out loud, I'm X number of years old and no, 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 no. I'm reifying there's something wrong with me. I can't have it. In
Yeah.
that view, it's normal and it's safe and it's fine to be able to say it and have it heard. But if I keep beating the drum of that, I'm going to keep pushing away the thing I say I want and then stay in the role of victim. And I feel like this is what I see with my clients. This is what I see in my own sessions with you
Mhm.
is the importance of bringing enough awareness online for the client or student or practitioner to see that we're doing that.
Mhm. That's right. Yeah. It's really important to, I mean, it's again, it's good to explore it for a little bit, but then not year after year after year going back to the same thing again and saying, "Oh, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me," you know? And then it just kinda keeps it all in place. And it's like, okay, it happened to you. All kinds of things happen to people. It's really painful. Let's stay with the pain of it and then let it move, right? Let it move and let it
Yeah.
transform itself. Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, this thing about, something you said to me at some point that one of either Jock or Bennett said to you is you've got to update yourself. Like we have
Right.
these memories that
Yep.
may not be accurate to who we've actually become, and like updating the operating system on my phone. I'm gonna
Yep.
update my wait, I'm not that person. I'm actually in a different experience. I'm not 5 anymore. I'm an adult with choice and I can come and go.
That's right. There, that's beautiful. Very well said. That's right. Update. Update yourself. It's important. Again, it's not necessarily easy and you can't often do it alone. It's good to have somebody to help, right? Help have a
Let's talk about that a little bit. Like this something, this when it goes well, why it can be so helpful to have a facilitator or a teacher who is
mm,
embodying something further down the road than my own development. Like what is going on in
yep.
those sessions that's so transformative?
Isn't that cool? I just love it. I've always, there's there's an absorbing that happens. That's how I've always learned best is just going to be with amazing teachers or people that I look up to or people I can learn from. And rather than trying to understand what they're saying so much, just absorbing what they're saying. So it's just like being really open and just feeling who they are and letting it like soaking it up. Yeah. There's something about that that if people can relax their mind, it's again, you have to relax your mind because if you're trying to figure it out and understand it, again, it keeps it up here, it diminishes it, it makes it smaller. Thought's great. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with thought. At the same time, we often, value it more highly than more highly than let's say this other thing, which is like just experience, receive, absorb, take it in, and then
Like
I don't
being at an incredible sunset or sunrise or walking through a magnificent forest. Like how many
know.
of us have walked through a magnificent forest or watched many beautiful sunrises? Am I sitting there going, how many leaves are on that tree? No, I'm just like, my breath is deeper as I walk through. It's like I'm getting in touch with what's real, especially during, the COVID period when many of us were getting to walk a lot and walk maybe in nature. Wow, how healing and fortifying, or the sunset. Like I'm not going, what's the percentage of helium and hydrogen that's making this look? I don't care. I'm just like, whoa, look at this painting. And I'm feeling it
Beautiful.
with my whole body.
There you go. And the consciousness, when we go back to this absolute, free awareness, just it's like because we are that, we it's like all the information comes through that absorbing. All the information. We don't have to remember it here. And it
Here's
will
she's pointing at her head, by the way, those of you who are on the audio.
oh, okay, yeah. And, and it will, like we said earlier, it'll reveal itself again. This information will come back up when it's needed in the moment.
Yes.
We have to trust that, we trust that, and then it does. And even more information than we even knew we knew comes up. So again, it's the opposite of trying to figure it out and trying to accumulate more and more and more. It's the opposite of that. It's releasing, 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 letting go, letting go, letting go, being empty, 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 empty. And that's when all of the knowledge and wisdom of the universe is available.
Everybody, just take a deep breath together with us. Like, just let that land for a moment. That possibility that is always here is not just one person's direct experience. It's mine for sure, and it continues to grow.
Yeah.
A simple example is I meet so many people on a weekly basis, and that's a lot of names. And sometimes I'll forget somebody's name, like particularly at the gym, I meet a lot of people and say hello. Somebody will walk towards me and like, oh, I don't know their name. And if I'll just relax and just lightly gaze at them, it appears,
Yep.
the name appears.
That's
but
right.
if I'm trying, I can't think of it, or I'll call them the wrong name.
That's right. Yep. Beautiful. And the same thing happens if you lose something. When I lose something, I'm like, where did I put it? Where is it? Or maybe it dropped somewhere where I didn't even know it dropped. And then I'll just relax and it just, right? Does that happen to you,
Yeah,
Scott? It's just like,
totally.
boom, it's over here. It's like I go walk over there and there it is. So that's just another
I
small
couldn't
example.
find your paper. There's a beautiful paper that everybody, I've got a link in the show notes for you that you can read. And it'll also, you'll be able to see other writings that Venita's done on her website. But this particular paper, I was like, where is it? I was hunting through my house, tearing the house apart, going, I know I have it. I know I printed it out. I know I've read it many times. Where in the world is it? And I just stood still for a moment, got quiet. And
Yeah.
for me, I hear an inner knowing or like a voice, and it's just like, go into your email. You're going to find it in an email thread, and you'll be able to freshly download it. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Great.
That's
That's right.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's this, we think, and I have thought before, because I was a child who was heavily criticized. Not that that was the only thing that led to this, but I felt like I had to try harder at everything than everybody else, and didn't realize that I'd brought this into my body and that this was the way I was living. So my nervous system, into several years of working with Venita, having done lots of years of practices and lived in a monastery, was still at high levels of fight or flight, especially if there was a disturbance.
Yeah.
And the first thing I had to learn how to do was not to judge that.
Yes.
To relax around that it was happening and that help was available.
Yeah.
So I think for many of us listening, it's the opportunity here is to go, I need to be able to see where my tension patterns are without making it mean there's something bad or wrong about me or life or my parents, and just go, we all carry tension. It's made of the one fundamental creative power of life itself.
Yep.
And as I meet it with grace, as I meet it the way I would want to be met, it liberates its appearance as tension and becomes creative, nourishing, healing energy.
Yep.
Immediately.
Beautiful. There you go. Yeah. It's actually really simple. Not easy, but really simple, right? Yeah.
Too simple for when I first started. I was like, no, there's got to be something more complicated. What are you hiding from me? What is this? What is the real formula for the people that you think are ready? It's like,
Right.
there's nothing else. I don't have anything more for you.
Yep. It's just years and years of relax. Because, right, this, when you relax the first layer, then there's another layer of tension. And then there's another layer of tension. And then there's a subtle layer, subtle tensions, right? And so as you go deeper and deeper and open more and more, it's not like you come to an end necessarily. It's that you come to a deeper layer that's more subtle, but actually is more pervasive. So if you can heal that, it impacts your life even more, right? So,
well, I guarantee there's at least a few of you out there who are listening who would relate to what I'm about to say, which is I've come to realize in the last couple of years of my practice, especially this year, and it's growing, that when I encounter a tension pattern and choose to work with it, it's not just for my own sake. That it doesn't matter where it came from or what the data points were that seemed to trigger it. mostly doesn't matter. But like, as I liberate it, because I know I'm connected to everything and everyone in the field of humanity and quantum field, that it's an offering without needing to be special. It's an offering for the liberation of anybody who has any similar pain or tension.
Beautiful. So beautiful. And that's love, right there. That's big love. Yeah.
And I can't even claim that it's my love either. Like, it just seems like it's love, and it's what love does. And I'm a beneficiary of it as much as anybody, kind of
Oh,
thing.
beautiful. That's right. It's so true. Yeah, it's everywhere. Love is everywhere. It's always already here. Same thing with awareness, clarity and awareness.
If you knew you were going to croak tomorrow morning, and may you not pass away, and none of your writings were available, all of the things you'd ever written or recorded were gone, but you could leave people with 3 to 5 key things that you feel like make a big difference, what might those be?
I would say learn to breathe consciously. So learn to bring the breath through your entire body, every cell of your body, with awareness. I think that is the most important thing. That's not a joke. And then I would say relax as much as you can. Just relax through your whole body. This is ancient. This is not just me. This is ancient teachings have said this. Relax through your whole body and breathe through your whole body. The Buddha said that. Breathe through your whole body. And then once you're able to do that, allow that love from the universe to flow through you, but also to know that you are that love. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all. But it's not easy again, right? Because you bump into stuff all the time. But
Yeah.
it's
There's a question I ask every guest, and it's based on a quote from Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, who opened the Zen Center of San Francisco in the 60s. And he would say, I actually first heard Adyashanti say this in a gathering of people. Adyashanti is one of my teachers who's not currently, he's retired, extraordinary teacher and transmitter of these awarenesses. In Palo Alto, he said this quote from Suzuki Roshi: "Death is certain, the time is not. What is the most important thing?" And so for you, Venita, in your life, whether people know about it or not, what's the most important thing? Knowing that death is certain and the time is not. If it
I
can be
don't.
spoken.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I don't know that there's anything more important than
What if
anything.
that's your answer?
Yeah.
Like really? Like really? Like
That I
what
don't.
if that like something like, I don't want to preform your view on what's coming through, but like, what if that is it? Like, what if not having an answer
Yeah.
is your most important thing right now?
Maybe so. I think it might be. Because here we are, and ultimately we know nothing about what we are, who we are, where we came from, where we're going, if this is even real, right? We don't know anything about anything truly deep down about what this is and who we are. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have a conversation with you and to share what we know with other people who might benefit, right? It's lovely, and just look out upon nature and be just amazed. So yeah, I don't know. We don't know.
In my working with you over the years, for me, definitely that's where I'm getting the idea of how I name this, because I continue to learn from you to not project the past or what I think I know. And can I come more and more as I release tension? I can, to any moment, not having a preformed idea, not knowing,
Right.
opening intentionally to not knowing, for
Yes.
me has been more exciting and brought me better things into my life than my ego could have ever thought of.
Absolutely. Same here. Yeah.
So I
Amazing
think
thing.
you did have an answer. It just, those of you who get asked questions who think you always have to answer in words, what if the answer is not words? What if it's a sneeze? What if it's a laugh? What if it's a shake and a wiggle and a deep breath? What if that is a response, and a very full, clear one?
Yeah. Like it. It's good.
There was something else there about, I think the most important thing that I'm touched by is what happens when two people show up not having preformed ideas to meet
Hmm.
together for any period of time with open hearts and open minds.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
so
that. So good.
crazy curious about this.
Yeah, it's so great. And to let go of the thoughts and having to like come up with something, but just look into the mystery together. Like what's happening here? Right? So like I'll say one little story. The other day I was talking to a young, wonderful young man in his 30s. He's amazing. And we were sharing about these subtle, and you know, these are the inner sounds, the sacred sounds that when you get very quiet, like in meditation, you can hear these, like, right? Very high pitched frequencies, types of sounds. And we were together and we were both hearing those in the space because we were both so quiet and silent. And he said, and we talked, I mentioned it, and he said, the Northern Lights have that sound. I know, I didn't know that. And I said, and you know what? So do the dolphins. I swam with dolphins. And I said, and we're both like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's the deep sound, the deep frequency that runs it's through the cosmos, right? Whether it's the Northern Lights, our inner meditation, or the dolphins, it's like amazing.
I'm back on my back in the Angelus Crest forest, and I'm in a non-ordinary experience, in a non-ordinary state, and I'm deep in it. And at a certain moment, I notice I'm hearing something. And the forest is so still, except for the littlest bits of wind and critters. It's so still, and we're way up on the crest in the mountain.
Yeah.
And I hear this something that, and I can hear it now internally. It's like this, like the entire existence of all universes and all realms, the sound of it like collaborating and moving.
Oh, yeah.
I have
Mm.
no way to express what, like anything that on earth I've ever heard that sounds like this, but it was
Wow.
organized like the most intricate symphony,
Yep.
but nobody was making it happen.
That's amazing. Yep. And that's what happens when we get really quiet, when we are able to clear through the body, the subtle energy field, and open up to that awareness that we're talking about, that still, that quiet, silent space that really has everything in it, all the sound in it.
Mm.
Ah, beautiful.
On a practical level, are there any things that might come through you for people that are listening? They're like, I want, because Venita's not actually available. She's booked up. Like, you can't coach with Venita at this moment. And there's no courses or workshops available at this moment. And some of you might be like, man, I want to work with somebody like that. Like, how do I recognize them? How do I
Mm,
spot I'm working with somebody who's the fit for my next stage of growth, and maybe I don't have yet the quietness of mind reliably to enter the same way of knowing that you're talking about. What things might I look for?
yeah, it's good. So you have some ideas, I'm sure, Scott, too. I did
Yeah.
want to mention, Terri O'Fallon's stages community, and they have workshops and they do the assessments there. I consider her a dear friend of mine and colleague, and she can anybody who's interested in stages development is the place to go. And then Geoff Fitch is the other one of my colleagues from Pacific Integral, and he and his partner Abigail still offer the GTC program. So anybody who wants a longer sort of deep dive into relational fields, kind of a thing, that's the place to go for them. But
And
what are your
listeners, I look forward to having both those people, Terri and Geoff, on the podcast, God willing. So
yeah
you'll get to hear from them directly. But we'll put those links, especially to be able, if you're called to get a stages assessment, there's a normal assessment that is very, very deep. And then there's one that's specifically geared towards leadership. So some of you might want to do this through your companies and have the company sort out you getting the assessment as part of your development or the development of your team. A whole team can get this done and see the dynamics of the team and then better organize the team in terms of strengths and challenges with this information. And it's
right?
all kept confidential, you wouldn't know what your specific team members responded with. You'd be
Mhm.
given general awareness of it, but nobody's going to be outed, so that they can be done totally confidentially. And that is of utmost importance.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I'm curious. We've talked about releasing tension. We've talked about breath. What
Yeah.
about play?
Hmm. Well, you tell me about it. How does this happen for you with some of these practices?
I've heard in different places over the years that I've studied the importance of play. And one of the definitions I've liked is giving and taking with freely with no attachment to the result, or giving and receiving freely with no attachment to the result. That can happen so many ways. And that wherever we're suffering, we're not playing. And wherever we're playing, we're not suffering, even if something's difficult.
Hmm. I like that.
So,
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, that's something I'm still, well, I play. I mean, I do play. I like to play video games. I don't know if you knew that about
Really?
me. Yeah,
No. What
I
kind of
like,
video games?
well, my favorite is Fortnite. I'm sure some people know about Fortnite,
Okay.
but it's super fun. I just love it. But you have to kill people, so it's like these opposites with my work. It's so great, and it's just fun. It's a playful game. And it's pretty. I like to ride my bike and take my dog to the park and, all kinds of different things like that. So, and I go out to the gym and, play in the garden a little bit and things like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, but I was going to say that when I was a kid, I didn't get to play. So I had to grow up really fast and I didn't, I missed that. So that's something that in this kind of last part of my life, that's kind of one of my goals is just to be really get to play, learn how to play, be free, be childlike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing for everybody. So yeah, I have to say I'm not as advanced in that area as some people are.
I think it's lovely to know that we can be advanced in some areas and really honor that. And we can have other areas that we
Yep,
can increase our choice to grow.
that's right. Exactly. There's always something to grow, someplace to grow.
One of the last things I was curious about coming into this conversation with you is there's a lot of talk, and I've studied numerous systems or ways of expressing and teaching this over the years, what can be called loosely manifestation, or the technologies of attraction.
Yeah.
So how you view holding, manifesting something, like bringing something into one's life for oneself or others, and simply letting the field bring whatever it brings. Do you have
Oh,
any feeling about that in your own
oh
life?
yeah. That's really a big deal. I work with people on that all the time. It's really super fun because it really works and you know, it's amazing how it works. But anyway, what would I say? Again, I would say, um, I wanted to bring this up anyway.
Hmm.
Was grasping, and avoiding, and so that's one thing that we have to work with if we're growing, when we're growing, trying to open up the awareness is where do I have I get attached to something. I want to hold on to it. I want to, I'm fixated on it. Every time that happens, there's a way that thing becomes elusive. That thing, right? It's like, and then you lose your own, if I'm grasping, I'm not aware of everything else that's going on. I'm focused on that thing. So I'm going to not perceive other information that's going to be useful for me for whatever I want to happen. It's also my own limited mind thinks this is the thing, this is the treat, this is the right. But my own mind is limited. My own individual self idea is limited. So if I can release that and not grasp onto it, that's one key. And then avoidance, like going away from things I don't like or things I'm afraid of or whatever like that, is also something to be watching for. So if I can just open, again, relax and open, and then put my attention into my soul, my heart. What's my heart's desire? What brings me joy? What what do I feel moved towards? And then let go of all the details about it. That's the key. Is letting go of grasping, letting go of avoiding, letting go of thinking I know what the details are. Hold the intention in my heart, and then listen and perceive into the field of awareness as much as possible, and be ready so that when something feels like a yes, I follow it. And it's just one step. And I don't know 5 steps down the road. I don't know, 5 years down the road. I just know right now. And then that happens. And then the next thing shows itself, and the next thing. And pretty soon I'm living my flow with joy and with abundance. Is that your experience too?
It is. It is. And
Yeah.
I've learned, from the different teachers of this work not to do what they call outlining. By outlining, that would mean like for example, I've taken on a new practice. I'm experimenting as I'm developing a new prosperity workshop series. And I'm experimenting with some older school stuff where you write down your desires every morning and you be with them and you visualize it as already so.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things on my list concretely is a gracious home where there's plenty of room for my production studio. There's plenty of room for me and a partner who's still nameless at the moment. I'm not focusing on, is it a ranch or a 2-story? I'm not focusing on what the doorknobs necessarily look like, but how I want to feel walking around this space and bringing other
Exactly.
people around this space, and then letting the universe bring in the details of, is it in LA? Is it in Boulder, Colorado? Is it in Portugal?
Yes, that's right. I like that. How do I want to feel? How does it feel to be having this experience? Yeah. How does it feel?
Tell me how this sounds if I'm following you. If I was just to come off of this podcast right now, I might say, okay, the difference between manifestation and coming into harmony with what is, if I've got any tension about the thing I'm thinking about or wanting, to attend to this first rather than try and manifest something on top of it, to meet the tension by softening my body, breathing
Yes.
into it, letting go on the exhale, staying as I
Yep.
relax in the body until it releases. And then freshly, once it releases, then seeing what I'm interested in.
Perfect. Yes, exactly right. That's the thing.
Good. Because I
That's
feel
great.
like I have, and maybe you have, listeners, unwittingly, unconsciously tried to use manifestation techniques to avoid a difficult feeling.
Yeah.
Not because that thing being manifested was really a good idea for ourselves and others.
Yep. Exactly. And the other issue with that is that it's like I can say I want a new car, I want all these different things, but that's not what we're talking about. We're coming back to the experience. What's the experience I want to have in life? Sense of freedom, peace, love, right? We come back to those. And so then it's like, well, it may not be. Maybe a house would be too burdensome, maybe. So it's like, those aren't it. It's the experience I want to have, the feeling, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it's important. Yeah.
And for me, it's not sufficient that the feeling is just for me. Whether it's the
Yeah.
house or more qualified students in my courses, or whatever it is, listeners for this podcast, subscribing. How will this benefit others? How can this benefit others? I can see myself bringing people to gatherings at the home who are smiling and joyful to have been there and spreading that joy wherever they go. Or I can imagine, as people choose to subscribe and share this podcast, other people finding out ways to do inner work that are more efficient and that really support them. So when my desires are bigger than just myself, I notice they happen more quickly, and there's a deeper experience of partnering with that universal force you're describing.
Absolutely right. That's true. And when awareness is big enough, when you can perceive or sense into the whole planet, with all the people in all the different countries and going through all the different experiences they're going through, painful ones, scary ones, joyful ones, all the sentience, all the life that's here, right? There's a way that compassion for everything just grows. And there's a way that you can perceive what is needed for humanity right now from you, that you have to offer, right? From your particular experience and skill and history. And then that's when the flow really happens, because like you're saying, we're all connected, we're all impacting each other. And love is, coming back to that, love permeates all of us. Yeah.
Thank you so, so much.
You're so welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for who you are. Yeah. Thank you for all that you give, Scott.
Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for all the countless hours of inner work you've done that nobody will ever know about, that allowed you to be the person through whom support is coming for so many people. Venita works with so many leaders of leaders and teachers of teachers. Inflection points, really. And maybe she will be one day, but doesn't need to be on the world stage as a big name, because she's influencing so strongly through her own development, your own development, so many lives by degree. And no value could be put on that. It's priceless.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the people that I've been entrusted with, their hearts and their beings. And I'm so fortunate. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, we thank you, listeners, for being with us. I really encourage you to listen to this more than once. There's a lot of nuggets here, and particularly maybe go back and write down the simple process with dissolving subtle impressions and start to practice it. If you need more further help, you could reach out to me through the show notes, and if I've got space, I can work with you or refer you out. You've heard some other names of some great practitioners. We'll find you somebody. But the key is to practice, and it's simpler and easier than the mind makes it up. It really is possible, and you serve all of us by meeting these subtle impressions and dissolving them with love. So thank you in advance for your practices. All right, with that, we love you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode. One of the best things you can do is subscribe and forward this on to people you care about. And we'll see you soon in The Choice to Grow. Loving the episode? Click to follow, like, and share it as widely as possible. Want to go deeper with The Choice to Grow? Explore the show notes. You'll find links there for going deeper with our guests, as well as how to work with me in the work of waking up, growing up, cleaning up, and showing up. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to join you in the next episode.